Oh, yo, what's up? This is your man Thatch the Great checking in once again. Let's get straight to it, shall we? Yesterday there were a lot of people who were hating on my stream. Also they were hating on me major, in a major way on TikTok when I posted those clips yesterday from my opinions of how Trump has haphazardly and completely recklessly mishandled this situation between Israel and Iran. People thought I was crazy, and they couldn't wait to say that I was completely wrong with my video because there was this initial ceasefire that was reached, and then literally within an hour of that so-called ceasefire being initiated, there were more missiles being launched to hit Iran, and also Israel claims that Iran had already sent missiles towards them as well, but those were never substantiated nor confirmed. So it seems like I was right, guys. That's the bottom line here. I was right. I don't believe there was actually ever any ceasefire initially in effect. I think there was maybe a loose agreement, but both sides obviously weren't really down with it because they still launched more missiles at each other. Now, one thing that is interesting is this video that I saw a little bit earlier today, and it is, who is this? This is Representative Jason Crow, and he's discussing, the Trump administration's complete mismanagement of intel, and just basically kind of doubling down on what my theory and what my belief is, that, Trump has handled this like an absolute bird brain. But let me go ahead and put that video on, and we'll just watch that one together. Here we go.
Postponement of our briefing is outrageous, it's evasive, it's derelict. They're bobbing and weaving and ducking. There is a legal obligation for the administration to inform Congress about precisely what is happening. What are they afraid of?
That's Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer reacting to the postponement of the briefings the Senate and House were set to receive today involving Iran. Neither body has been briefed. The Senate was
Okay, that was Chuck Schumer. My apologies. They apparently mislabeled the video.
This briefing was rescheduled for Thursday. The House briefing has been rescheduled for Friday. Now, even though Speaker Mike Johnson and congressional Republicans have ceded nearly all of their legislative authority to Donald Trump, Congress still has the sole authority to declare war. And as Donald Trump attempts to negotiate Middle East peace over Truth Social, there is a bipartisan push to curb Donald Trump's authority when it comes to sending our country into war.
You don't say. You don't say. Just like the video, just like my stream yesterday, and yet all the people were so quick to jump on me and say, no, you're wrong. He reached the ceasefire. You're wrong. Ha ha. Then literally 1 hour later, there were missiles going back and forth each way. There was no real ceasefire in effect. And even to this moment now, there's still a fever pitch between both sides because there has not been an effective ceasefire reached. But let me just go ahead and continue the video. I'll get more into it.
In Iran. Joining our coverage is former Army Ranger, Democratic Congressman Jason Crow of Colorado. He sits on the House Intel Committee.
What are your thoughts?
Michael Crowley.
What are your thoughts, guys? Is this ceasefire actually going to hold up? Which I don't believe it will. There's absolutely going to be a lot more blood spill in the Middle East. But I want to know what you guys think. What do you think? I think the bird brain completely mishandled the way that he handled the situation between Iran and Israel.
And Ned Price are with us as well. Congressman, tell me the state of your access to information, either intelligence or from the military, about the announcement Donald Trump made to...
Did you know that almost any question you have about your revenue data can be answered instantly?
The country at large on Saturday night.
Well, Nicole, I sit on the House Intelligence Committee, so I have access to a lot of information about what our government is doing and what it knows. And what I can tell you is I haven't seen any information at no point in the last year that would show an imminent risk of attack to Americans or U.S. facilities that would trigger the authority of the president to conduct a unilateral, non-congressionally authorized strike against Iran. I haven't seen it. So if they have it, I would love for them to show it to us. They canceled the briefings. They haven't engaged us. But this is not just a debate about process. and this is important for America to realize, that we're not having a process debate. Why this is important is because when we stop having public discussions about use of force and military action, when we stop debating it, when Congress stops voting on it, what you end up with is a 20-year-long war that cost Americans $3 trillion, 6,000 American lives, and an incalculable amount of U.S. credibility. We've been here recently. We've done that. It's time for this madness to end. There's no appetite in America for another engagement like this in the Middle East.
When you talk about,
I tend to agree. Like I was saying in my live yesterday, I don't think anyone in America feels like we have any business being involved in this back and forth between Iran and Israel whatsoever. I don't think we stand to gain anything from it. And I just think Donald Trump has been extremely foolish, idiotic, and narcissistic in the way that he has conducted himself and handled this entire matter, which is no surprise. But it appears that Donald Trump is actually live right now. So let me go ahead and change up my stream here. Let me get rid of this video, remove that one, and we're going to take a quick look in live at what 47 is saying. Give me 1 second. Let's stop that screen. Let's see what 47 is talking about, Let's see what we got. Okay.
And they folded. And they may be there a little bit tonight. They may be there a little bit, but it seems to be getting less and less because they're going there and they're met.
Let's see what 47 is talking about.
With a very heavy force. And if they weren't, you would have that city right now would be on fire. It would be burning down. The rest of it, what's left over. Because the other fire was started because they wouldn't allow water into LA. They wouldn't allow water into California because they had it all shifted out to the Pacific Ocean. And I turned it around. And
it never ceases to amaze me just how narcissistic this guy is. He has been a horrible president from a strategic standpoint, especially in this matter between Iran and Israel. And yet he still finds some way to pat himself on the back. It never ceases to amaze me. And now he's trying to say that he somehow has done a good thing by bombing the 3 sites in Iran, even though that so-called ceasefire yesterday did not last longer than an hour before there were more missiles going back and forth both ways. All right, I don't want to interrupt. Let's see what he's saying.
Told them to do it in my first term, and they didn't do it. We had COVID, and they didn't do it. And I told them to do it. We did it in the second. Now we have billions of gallons of water flowing down. But Newsom should have done this. He's an incompetent man and get into that. But I called up other countries. They're all celebrating the victory. We're the only country that didn't celebrate the victory. And we're the one that won the war. Okay. If it wasn't for us, that war, you would be speaking German right now. Okay. We won the war.
What are you talking about?
And you might be speaking Japanese too. I mean, you might be speaking a combination of both. We won the war, and we're the only country that didn't celebrate it. And we're going to be celebrating big on Saturday. We're going to have a lot of, and if there's any protester wants to come out, they will be met with very big force. By the way.
Okay. What the hell is he talking about right now, guys? What is he talking about?
For those people that want to protest, they're going to be met with very big force. And I haven't even heard about a protest. But, you know, this is people that hate our country. And we have some of the best timber anywhere in the world, and we don't use it. We freed it up.
Hold on. I don't like the quality of this stream. Let me find a different stream, a better source. Give me 1 second here. 1 second. Let's find a better source with a consistent. Parts. Oh wait, did I miss the NATO summit? Shit. It's not live anymore. Wait a minute. Shoot. Nope. It doesn't look like. All right, let's take a look at this. Nope, that's not it either. This is frustrating. Why? Where is it? All right, let's go back to that one. I was trying to figure out, it looks like his actual speech at the summit was a couple hours ago. Let me see if I can get video footage of that. It's all important. Let's see. Check this out. Let's see.
If you owe IRS back
1 second.
taxes,
Bear
but
with
can't
me.
afford to pay the IRS in full,
Bear with me.
there's a
Let's get to it. Where's all right, here we go. Damn it. All right, Donald. Where's the actual summit? That's what I'm trying to get to. All right. Where's Trump? 1 second. It gotta be on here. Did he actually talk at the summit? All right, we'll just go with this. Let's go with this. Let's see what he said here.
They're going to be a great trading nation. They have a lot of oil. They're going to do well. They're not going to have a nuclear weapon.
So
The last thing on Iran's mind right now is nuclear weapons.
Can you clarify what you meant when you mentioned regime change in your Truth Social post the other night?
God damn it. Why is it so hard to find decent quality footage on YouTube? Where is it, man? All right, let's see. Departs NATO summit. Trump attends NATO summit. Let me see if we have anything where he actually addresses the idiotic nonsense that occurred yesterday with him claiming it was a ceasefire. 1 second. President Trump on the Israel conflict. That's 11 hours. That's too old, man. That's too fucking old. Trump not happy. All right, fuck it. I'll watch this.
I don't think so, but I'm not happy that Israel's going out now. There was one rocket that I guess was fired overboard. It was after the time limit, and it missed its target. And now Israel's going out. These guys got to calm down. Ridiculous.
These guys got to calm down. I'm so confused. If there was actually a ceasefire that was actually brokered and in effect, how did this even happen? Think about that. He's so quick to jump the gun, get on social media, get in front of a camera and tell people that there was a ceasefire reached, and then literally an hour later, there are missiles going both ways. And yet now he in this which is from this morning, if I recall correctly, he's getting on in front of the camera saying, "Oh, these guys got to calm down." No, you got to stay the fuck back and let these two sides just handle their business. This has nothing to do with Americans. This has nothing to do with American business. You got to learn how to relax, man. Got to learn how to relax, buddy. Got to learn how to relax. Hold on 1 second. Let's watch the rest of this. This is from this morning.
I didn't like plenty of things I saw yesterday. I didn't like the fact that Israel unloaded right after we made the deal. They didn't have to unload. And I didn't like the fact
that Israel unloaded right after we made the deal.
Well, clearly there was actually no deal in place, Donald. That's the whole point. You lied. You lied. You didn't actually have a deal in place, buddy.
That the retaliation was very strong. But in all fairness, Israel unloaded a lot. And now I hear Israel just went out because they felt it was violated by one rocket that didn't land anywhere. That's not what we want, I'll tell you. And I'm telling you, I'm not happy about that, Israel, either.
You urge both sides not to violate the ceasefire, but reports coming from the region suggest that the sides accuse each other for violating the ceasefire. So
I think they both violated it. I don't think I'm not sure they did it intentionally. They couldn't rein people back. I don't like the fact that Israel went out this morning at all, and I'm going to see if I can stop it. So as soon as I get away from you, I'm going to see if I can stop it, okay?
Guess which student has a better chance of getting...
That is the President of the United States of America, folks. Believe it or not, that bumbling buffoon is the president. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I'm trying to see if we can find more because, let's see. Fears unleashes on Israel. Obama warns dangerously close. All right.
NBC News now has some reporting here from our Courtney Kube from the Pentagon from multiple sources on this initial assessment by the Defense Intelligence Agency. So I want to get right.
This is the most up-to-date news. This is just from 30 minutes ago. So let's see what the current update is on this entire debacle between Israel and Iran.
Right to Courtney, who I believe is joining us now from the Pentagon. There she is. Courtney, tell us what you know.
Yeah, and this is a group effort by NBC News, by the way. Our colleagues, Gordon Lubel, Dan DeLuce, Ken Delaney, and Julie Sirkin, a number of people. But what we now can report that, in fact, there was this initial Defense Intelligence Agency assessment about the strikes in that the U.S. military took in Iran. And they found that, in fact, early assessment that was that the battle damage assessment showed that it may have only set the Iranian nuclear program back 3 to 6 months. That's according to 3 people familiar with this initial assessment. And Hallie, we were often reticent to talk about, this sort of a very early assessment. Literally, it came in only a matter of hours after these strikes took place. But 2 of the officials said, look, this assessment, yes, it's early, but there is also a follow-on assessment that it's possible that as they move forward and they get more and more information about how successful these strikes were, that they may in fact even assess that they were less successful and that it may be even fewer than 3 to 6 months before Iran is able to.
Let me interject here, guys. Like I was stating yesterday on my stream, what made that move such a haphazard, unstrategic, careless move by Donald Trump as far as attacking Iran is the fact that it tilted our hand. It showed our entire hand. It showed us that we are going to be, in fact, not only an assertive ally to Israel, but we are clearly their muscle. That shows our hand, and then that puts everyone else on alert as far as whoever the allies are that are ultimately going to back Iran if we actually do have a World War III geopolitical scenario. Get that? So what she's saying here is the fact that that strike may not have even decimated their entire nuclear program, which is what Donald Trump was touting and bragging about. Doesn't seem like that's actually the case at all. Seems like it's just going to be a temporary setback. And now, while they're regrouping in this so-called ceasefire zone that we have now, this actually works better out for Iran because now they get to be dormant while they continue to get their nuclear program back online. And they're probably going to start strategizing and try to bring other countries into the fold. As I stated yesterday, there's several that are right there on the brink of already wanting to get at the U.S. anyway. So it was just an extremely careless, idiotic manner in which Donald Trump handled this entire debacle. I cannot say that enough, and most people with the brain agree with me.
Reconstitute what was destroyed. Now, I have to say, the military piece of this, the U.S. military strikes, they were directly on the targets. According to the officials who we spoke with, they hit exactly what they intended to. But this is really about the larger piece here, the larger nuclear program in Iran. It's not just taking out infrastructure. It's about actually setting back the program. And that appears to be part of what this assessment is based on. Because remember, the strikes were able to take out, we believe, parts of the facility at Fordo, parts of the facility at Natanz. We know that the Tomahawk missiles that were launched from a U.S. Navy submarine at the third site at Isfahan, we know that they were all successful in hitting their targets. But it's not really clear where all of the highly enriched uranium was and whether, in fact, that was able to set.
All of these strikes coming from clearly marked U.S. submarines and U.S. battleground. Making it clear, once again, as I stated, making it clear to the entire world that we are the muscle for Israel, even though we have nothing to do with this particular conflict. It's just not smart. It's just not smart. I just can't believe this.
Set back the program beyond just the infrastructure damage, Hallie.
What's also interesting, Court, as we're looking at this, is that you and our teams reporting cites a person familiar who'd been briefed on this is saying, this assessment is already finding that these core pieces are still intact, saying that's a bad sign for the overall program here, that there was maybe an assumption, to your point, what you just laid out, there was maybe an assumption built in that there would be more damage done, in fact. Help us understand that piece of it, because without, the United States doesn't have eyeballs on the ground in Iran, at least not eyeballs on the ground that we know about in any kind of official capacity.
Correct.
Yeah, and when you're talking about a battle damage assessment, that is a critical piece, Hallie. Yeah. That's having people on the ground who can get eyes on, who can see exactly what happened here. At this point, we're not aware that the U.S. actually has that. So they're going to rely on other ways of gathering this sort of intelligence. Things like satellite imagery, things like intercepts. They're going to want to hear what people are saying about the damage that may have been done. And frankly, that's not done in a day or two. In many cases, that can take weeks before there will be a wholesome, a full battle damage assessment of exactly what was done here. That's why I keep stressing that this is early. But, you know, this is based off of information that was gathered in those early hours after the strikes that occurred, and that was filtered through the Defense Intelligence Agency. And this was the analysis that they came out here, was that, again, it does not appear, yes, while the strikes did hit what they were intended to, it does not appear that it set the program back more than, frankly, a matter of months.
And there you have it. All of this hubbub, all of this, hold on. All of this talk that Trump's doing about completely decimating Iran's nuclear program, and yet here we have confirmation that it really didn't set them back all that much. You hit it, but it wasn't a devastating strike. So now we're right back to square one as far as Iran still being able to have nuclear capability within another couple of months or so. And now they're absolutely pissed, and their allies are probably getting at the ready to assist them in whatever is to come afterwards. I'm just going to watch one more video here. Just one more video. This was in regards to the ceasefire. This is from a few hours ago. And I don't know. Let me get this off the screen. Hold on. Let me get this off this damn screen. Remove that. Stop that one. Let's add this one. All right. Nope. This one. There we go. All right. Just want to see one more video before I wrap this up. So-called
Joining me now is staff writer at The New Yorker, Susan Glasser, former California Democratic Congresswoman Jane Harman, and MSNBC contributor and columnist Charlie Sykes. Susan, I'll get to these individual leaders in just a second, but if I can ask you big picture, what are the stakes of this ceasefire holding right now?
Well, that's right. I mean, I think you saw President Trump's very overheated outburst this morning, dropping the F-bomb on live TV. Why did he do that? He clearly understands that the stakes are enormous for his credibility, not only in the...
He has no credibility. Let's get it clear. He has no credibility whatsoever.
Region, but as he heads to a crucial summit meeting with all of the U.S.'s NATO allies in Europe, this is a moment where Trump's decisions are being tested also and questioned unusually by many within his own MAGA political coalition. So
you know what that is? Because everybody with the brain can see that, Donald, you jumped the gun, you didn't have enough intel, you didn't wait till you had all the facts, and you launched 3 strikes on Iran nuclear programs. Haphazardly, completely showing your hand to the world. It was not smart, it was not strategic, and it was completely unpresidential, but that's no surprise.
I feel like, the frayed nerves are representation of how very high the stakes are right now. So that's number one. Number two, of course, is beware the initial overheated claims. Some of what we're hearing right now from Trump's defenders is, really remarkable, considering we actually don't really know yet the results of these strikes, and they could lead to, let's hope they do, lead to a better outcome, an outcome with Iran no longer meaningfully able to pursue its nuclear program, but it could also lead to Iran doubling down on its nuclear program. So I just feel like...
That's absolutely right. Bingo, she hit it on the head. And as you saw in the previous video, we got confirmation that this strike, all 3 strikes that we made on Iran's nuclear sites, did not decimate nor devastate them. They just serve as potential temporary setbacks. They said that their nuclear programs will be right back up and running within 2 to 3 months. What else do you think they're going to do in that period? You don't think that they're going to start strategizing and developing and formulating plans with their allies to mobilize and actually not only strike Israel, but also, now that the U.S. has unveiled their hand as being a firm ally and muscle for Israel, now we're going to have a situation where we now have to be on alert over here on our shores. Donald Trump. This is what happens when you put someone who's completely unqualified and someone who is not an actual thinker in the Oval Office, even though he has checks and balances, even though he has the Joint Chiefs, even though we know that everything's not his decision, his recklessness is still going to cost us all.
The stakes are enormous, but the results are not yet clear.
Yeah, Congresswoman, let me start with Benjamin Netanyahu. He's been a constant presence in Israeli politics since the 90s. And I think certainly when you were on the Intel Committee and Homeland Security Intel Committee, he was around. So what are you watching for from him and how he'll impact the future of the region?
Well, he's an amazing survivor. Some claim that this invasion timing of Iran was his way to avoid a no confidence vote. And I think that may be true. He was going to face an election soon, which some thought he would lose. Now nationalism is rising in Israel and people are congratulating him. But this is very fragile.
And he's playing Trump like a damn puppet all throughout this entire process. But, you know, I'm not going to watch this whole video. You get the gist. Let me know what your thoughts are. They claim that there has now been another ceasefire enacted, even though we know that the initial ceasefire didn't last but for an hour last night before there were missiles still going back both ways between Iran and Israel. So how long do you think this one will hold up before it goes to shit? I give it less than a week before both sides are right back at each other's throats. And if Trump steps in again, I swear, it's not going to be pretty as far as the allies that we start see coming out of the fold. And then we're going to be in a situation where we have to go to war. Why? What's going on between Iran and Israel is not our damn business. I've said it before and I'll say that again because it's the truth. But you let me know what you guys think, all right? That's all I'm going to say for today. Just interesting, just watching all of this develop. Let's just watch all of it unfold. I'm telling you, man, this episode of The World is crazy. You know, this episode that we're in of The World. Anyways, man, that's all I'm going to say tonight. You know, we watched several videos just to give you context, and I'm interested to know what you think. Will the ceasefire hold up this time or not? It's that simple. With that being said, this is your man, That's Great. I'll holla. Peace.